Many thanks for joining us on another episode of Health Options. On this program, we provide you with information you require to make informed choices about your health. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim. Welcome. On this episode, we examine a progressive disorder that affects the nervous system and parts of the body. Trolling the nerves, this ailment causes tremor and slow movement in parts of the body. It can be devastating as well as life-changing for the patient and challenging for immediate family members who become the primary caregivers. Today on Health Options, we focus on Parkinson's disease. Though many believe that Parkinson's is not a black man's disease, however, with increase in life expectancy of African population, the burden of degenerative diseases such as Parkinson's is said to be on the increase. According to the Perkinson Foundation, over 10 million people worldwide, including Nigerians, suffer from Parkinson's disease. We will be hearing from a neurologist, particularly as it affects Africans. It promises to be what you're viewing, as we shall also bring you a complimentary segment, Nature's Corner. Please stay as we return shortly.
Curious about how government policies on healthcare are faring? Do you enjoy learning about wellness concept and the many options available? Then watch Health Options on the NTA.
Mr. President has led by example. Take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Somebody can say, hey, I woke up this morning, I felt some tingling in my hand, some weakness, my face I couldn't speak well. That's a warning stroke, and it shouldn't be ignored.
The carrots contains carotene. Tomatoes is a colored plant. It has carotene. Pepper has carotene.
50% of our diet should be green vegetables and fruits.
Join leading experts on both orthodox and alternative medicine for all the enlightenment you need for a healthier you.
Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah.
Thanks for being there. If you're just tuning in, the program is Health Option. Now joining me to talk more about Parkinson's disease is a neurologist from the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada, Dr. Nkechi Obianuzie. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now tell us more about Parkinson's disease. What should we know?
Well, we should know that Parkinson's disease is one of the rising neurological conditions. So, in fact, it's said to be now probably the one that's rising the fastest and causing the most disability worldwide. So it's a movement disorder. So it's a problem with movement that from the nervous system, a part of dysfunction from the nervous system. And it makes people to be moving slowly. And some people also have shaking hands. That's what we call tremor, or shaking legs. Sometimes it can even affect their lips and mouth. So they have all sorts of shaking. And there are other things that also happen with them. So basically it's a problem with movement. So we call it a movement disorder. And it's from the nervous system. So it's also one of the neurological diseases, and it's affecting the brain, and it's progressive. So I guess that was why you used the term neurodegenerative, because it's degeneration in the nervous system.
Okay. How do we know one has Parkinson's disease now?
The key feature really is slowness. So, traditionally people used to think, oh, as you're getting older, you'll be slow in getting up from the chair. You're slow in turning over in bed. So people used to kind of think that maybe this was some sort of like aging process. Yeah. But it's actually been found that no, and that's the common misconception, especially us in Nigeria. But really it has been found that it's a disorder in the brain where a certain chemical that's needed to help you fine-tune movement is no longer there. So then the person is now kind of like slow in getting up. So that's one of the classic symptoms, slow in doing things, even slow in their speech. difficulty swallowing, having problems, as we said, with shaking, sometimes falling. That tends to be later on in the disease course, but they can easily fall. Then some of them walk with this kind of like stooped forward, you know, posture. Yeah. So you see, you think, ah, no, mama is getting old. She's walking with, you know, forward and finding it difficult to move fast. So those are all the features of, so that's stiffness, we call rigidity. The slowness, right? That's being difficulty in getting up, turning over in bed. The tremor, shaking hands.
Is that irrespective of age? Do we see that more in older persons, or is it irrespective of age?
Oh, Parkinson's is commoner in older people. Okay. So most people present above 60, but we do have people who present with young onset Parkinson's. So we have people that present younger, even people less than 40 presenting with Parkinson's. It's just that it's a very heterogeneous group. That's what we mean is like you can have 10 people with Parkinson's and their symptoms are quite different. Some people will be more of like, they are more the stiff, slow type. And some don't even have the tremor. About 1/3 of them are not shaking. Just that they're so slow in getting up, slow in everything. Some people, their own is more like with their shaking hands, and that's tends to be the more obvious symptom. So amongst the 10 people you see, everybody's disease is different. You understand? But there are certain key features we look out for that help us to say, okay, really this is Parkinson's disease.
Okay, is there a cause to this disease?
Well, what really causes Parkinson's disease, nobody knows. But what scientists have been able to see that it's a combination of environmental and genetic risk factors. So like, you are in an environment maybe that predisposed you to, you saw pesticide use has been seen to be one of the risk factors. So farmers who use herbicides to kill all those their herbs in their pests in the farm, people who work in dry cleaning industries and are exposed to certain organic solvents, people who work in certain industries where they handle chemicals, then of course you now add it to the genetic risk factors. Do you understand? So they believe that there are some genetic risk factors that combined with the environmental risk factors.
Okay, is that to say that it's always hereditary?
No, it is not always. Only 5 to 10% of Parkinson's disease is actually hereditary. That means out of your 10 patients with Parkinson's, maybe one of them would have maybe a family history of Parkinson's disease.
Okay, so now let's come back home now. You know, in Nigeria now, are we seeing more of these diseases, or what is the level of awareness, do you think, among Nigerians? Are we seeing more of these people coming up with this kind of disease?
Oh yes, we're seeing much more. One, you can, just by looking at the estimates of how people are getting, living longer now. So life expectancy now in Nigeria, I think I read now it was about 55.7. About 10, 20 years ago, it was 10 years less than that. So we're going to be seeing people living older, and consider the fact that we have a large population of almost 200 million people. If 5% of them are above 60, which is what the World Bank estimates, those are the people most at risk of Parkinson's disease. So number one is the fact that we have increasing life expectancy. So people are living longer.
Yeah.
So in the 1950s,
that's a good thing,
that's
right?
a very good thing. They say such negative things, but actually the statistics show that in Nigeria we're living longer than we were living in the 1950s.
Good.
In the 1950s, life expectancy was like 30-something years. Now we're having like 55.7, almost 56 years. And it's expected that it's going to get higher and higher each year. We're steadily getting like 0.5%. So number one is that we're living longer. The second thing is that the side effect of industrialization is that we have all these chemicals, chemical pollutants, things that are actually contaminating our groundwater and air pollution. All this we all see about, we read about what's happening in
the environmental factors.
Environmental factors in the Niger Delta with all these oil spills and all that. All these things are linked to Parkinson's disease, environmental risk factors. So we're now having more industrialization. Use of well water has been found to be a risk, and that well water is gotten from the ground. So you have industries where there may not be a lot of like regulations on how they dispose of their waste, and they're contaminating our water.
Okay, let's take a breather here. When we return, we shall continue. Stay. Many Many thanks for being there. If you're just tuning in, the program is Health Options, and we are discussing Parkinson's disease with Dr. Nkechi Obianuzie. So let's take off from where we stop now. What are there things we can do to avoid this disease?
Okay, to avoid Parkinson's disease, well, I mean, number one would probably be less exposure probably to the environmental risk factors. It's also been found that the duration of exposure to those agents is linked more to the damage as well. So even if you do expose yourself, maybe try to wear protective clothing and not to be exposed for very long periods at a stretch. And then that would probably then, there are other risk factors like head trauma, probably way down there, but, I mean, we all know we all know the story about Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we could perhaps also maybe avoid head trauma as much as possible. So contact sports, we have to be more careful. So even our sports industries need to probably be regulated on how much exposure people should have to head trauma.
Is the treatment affordable when people come up with this kind of disease? What kind of lifestyle will they lead?
The treatments are available, and that's part of the reason why this April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, because we want to highlight the fact that some of these medications that are used to treat Parkinson's disease are not as available in every community as they should be. So we want, first of all, people to be able to access these medications, because there is no cure for Parkinson's, but there are medications to manage it. Initially, it used to be so hard to get these medications. Our patients would struggle, go from pharmacy to pharmacy before they'll be able to get some. Sometimes they were not even the original brands. So now we have some local pharmaceutical companies and some other companies that are actually producing this drug, and so it's more available. But it's available in the big cities. What about you, my grandma in the village,
exactly.
Your auntie in Kano or Kaduna? Yeah. Do you understand? We want these drugs to be available to everybody in every part of Nigeria.
Does it also lead to other kind of diseases, Parkinson's disease? Do we see the patients coming up with some underlying ailment?
Well,
aside the tremor.
Yes, Parkinson's disease has a lot of non-motor features, and that's the part also that that's why they should seek care from a professional that understands. A lot of them have anxiety, have depression, have psychiatric issues, like they see things other people don't see, right? They hear voices. Then they start to lose their memory as the disease becomes more progressive in some of them. So you can imagine how challenging it is for the parent, for whatever caregiver is there. Maybe it's your mother or your grandmother. And so we want to highlight the fact that there's so many other aspects of the disease apart from the motor features you're seeing that is also affecting other parts of the brain that makes them more prone to depression. That means feeling sad all the time. And then we can manage those symptoms as well. Problems with memory, problems with behavior.
Sometimes now, when some people have this kind of disease, like you said, they come up with memory loss, people try to avoid them or run away from them. And you know how our society is. People will now start saying she has this, she has that. Now the role of society, hence this question.
Yes, because we must all realize that everybody is prone to, I mean, the whole population is, if you're lucky enough to age, you're going to be at risk of some of these neurodegenerative diseases. So we need to educate ourselves that somebody is having memory problems, that we still need to support them. They are still your family member. They still deserve love, to be included in society. They still need to have access to basic health care. They should have probably people who can help them, maybe, understand that many of them are incontinent of urine, that, maybe pass urine on themselves. It's not because they want to, it's because also there are other systems that are involved that's making them, they can't control their urine. So we should be more understanding and accept, and we're actually an African society where we tend to love our elderly and care for them. So, the more you educate people, the more they understand that some of these features are part of the whole disease. And so they are more likely to include them in society and to be understanding of this disease.
On a final note now, what is your advice? Is there something important you need to tell the public to be aware about this disease?
Well, number one would be that it's on the rise, you know, and that it's treatable. It's not that it's curable, but we have medications that can help you manage both your motor features, which are the ones you see, and then the non-motor features. So there is treatment for it, and that exercise also very good, and there are many healthy options you can look at in terms of diet that can help you to manage your disease. And you should work together with a team of professionals so that you can live your life the way you were meant to by God and be healthy as long as possible.
Thank you very much for coming and for that insight, Dr. Obianozie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if you just join us, I've been speaking with a neurologist, Dr. Nkechi Obianozie. We've been speaking about Parkinson's disease. Now, how much do you know about the medicinal use of ginger? Stay and find out on our complimentary segment next.
Allow these children to grow.
Yes.
Many of them, you have somebody 14, 15 going to the university. Where are you going?
Information technology is the future.
Hello, a warm welcome to you. This is Platform. I'm Ruth Aguela.
If you don't create that awareness and you don't bring the young minds to identify that there are benefits in astronomy.
We have had experiences through various leadership strata, bringing us to where we can.
Platform engages guests on topical issues for national interest.
We have cases like that. We all to protect children and also make parents realize that they have a primary responsibility.
Join us every Thursday at 2 p.m. on the network service of the NTA.
You brought in and touched on a very important aspect of health, which we've been trying to really get the public well informed. There are some of our natural products that have so many health benefits, either by way of lack of education or ignorance, we don't know. And this is what we're trying to do. There is an aspect of medicine known as alternative and complementary, medicine or traditional medicine. We're trying to put all these facets together, that nature has the solution to most of our problems, and this solution comes from most of the plants that we see. Ordinarily, plants, they have chemicals in them. Number one, to protect them from insects. They also have chemicals which are known as phytochemicals. These chemicals are of benefits to us when we take the plant. Things like you have what you call the flavonoids and isoflavonoids, which are a group of antioxidant systems that actually protect us in the body. So ginger is just an example. It's one example of one of these many products that are being emphasized now because of the medicinal benefits. Take, for example, if you take adequate amount of ginger, and when we talk about adequate amount, this should be on a routine basis. Don't expect to take ginger one day and expect that you will get all these benefits. No, it should become a lifestyle. If you look at disease, to us, we know that disease, the hallmark of all diseases is what we call inflammation. When there is exacerbated inflammation going on in the body, that is the time that you have disease, setting in. So, ginger is an anti-inflammatory. It has anti-inflammatory properties. And it is not rocket science that if inflammation causes a disease and you are taking an anti-inflammatory product like ginger, it will really help reduce inflammation and thereby reduce, disease. The second important aspect that ginger actually brings about in the body, it stimulates our immune system. We talk about disease, and any other thing as being a compromisation of our immune system. It's when our immune system is asleep that disease actually overpowers us. So if you have a product by way of ginger that can stimulate your immune system or my immune system, it has ultimate benefits. You can also see those other benefits of ginger. It has been shown scientifically that it is also sexual stimulant, and this is nothing by anything about the stimulation of your body or other desires. Is as a result of increased circulation in the body. So you see that ginger improves and increases even our cardiovascular output, as well as what we call peripheral blood circulation. So that is another benefit that you can see from ginger. And again, ginger in general is classified as an adaptogen. If you look at the definition of the word adaptogen, it means natural properties that have immunostimulatory as well as anti-inflammatory benefit. That is the meaning of the word adaptogen. And if you go into details, adaptogens covers so many protective effects. It creates, it is effective in condition of preventing cardiovascular diseases like stroke, because stroke is usually caused when there is an impaired flow of blood due to constricture of the blood vessels, or when the blood vessel gets busted and this. But if you have something that is it is a cardiovascular stimulant, it improves the flow of blood in the body. You cannot ask for anything better. So, and then you look at ginger also prevents us against infectious diseases. There are certain diseases that come into our body. It is actually bactericidal. It actually kills some of these bacteria. So I can go on and on enumerating the benefits of ginger, but the bottom line is that there is no one single standalone silver bullet the treatment that can help towards our well-being. That is to say that each product must be used in context of combination, and there are certain fundamentals of your body, like if you are there just taking ginger and not doing exercises in your body, you are not going to achieve the premium health that you need. If you are there not sleeping very well, what we call sleep deprivation, and you are just taking ginger, it's not going to help in your overall health benefit. So knowledge-wise, this thing should be done in combination, so that you can regain and control your health, properly. Ginger is really very key. And other things that we also use that should also be recommended, that should be part of our table meals. Things like, turmeric. Turmeric is also very important. Foods like garden eggs, they are also very important. Things like cucumber, they are also very important. And in general, we are advised to take greens. Anything that it is green vegetables, all this combined to define the totality of our health.
And this concludes this week's episode. But if you missed this, no worries, as you can watch this and other episodes on our YouTube channel. Email us if you have comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. I am Salwa Ibrahim. Many thanks for being there. Stay safe and healthy.